Hello everybody, how are you guys today? My name is Dawn. I'm the Life Harmony Coach with lifeharmonycoach.com, and welcome to my vlog. I'm so happy you guys are here today with me, and today we're going to be talking about the subject of what it was like for me to be a pastor's daughter. I'm here in Ahwatukee out by a lake. Let me just show you guys the beauty here I'm seeing this morning. I don't know if you guys can see, there's little fishies in here. And then there's big koi going by. But anyway, that is where I'm at this morning. The sun is rising. It's pretty early. But we'll just go with it. And hopefully the lighting will be good. This looks a little bit better. So, you know what's interesting is that this vlog today, I was just going to tell, my testimony, my story or whatever. And I actually filmed something last weekend just to be on it, and I had a feeling, I was going to try this, and the angles weren't right, and there's this ant crawling all over me, and it was just like, and then plus I was cutting stuff out, I just am struggling kind of sharing my story. And then what I felt like afterwards, instead of me doing that vlog and video, I felt really like to do subject matters of my story, and this is what I felt led to do, and this happened like Tuesday morning. I woke up and I'm like, you know what? Instead of me just sharing my entire story, which I was going to do like a 2-part series about, I'm just going to do it in subject matters, which I had planned on doing even anyway before and with other things. And so, so I went online to look up, because I knew there was going to be other people that had stories out there of what it was like to be a PK. And I'm telling you guys, I watched some of these videos. I'm going to leave a link below to one of the videos because the statistics are pretty shocking. One of them said that it was like 68% of people that are pastors' kids, and of course this is all different religions, they end up like losing their religion, like they don't go to church anymore. 68%, that's like such a high percentage rate. And I've had people say to me before, based on even just what I went through, which was a little bit above and beyond what most people go through, I felt, and because I've only met one other pastor's kid that's gone through what I've gone through and some of the things I've gone through, and of course it's not the exact same thing, but I don't know, people just told me that I'm lucky that I still am where I'm at, and and going to church and having a relationship with Christ and so on and so forth. And all I can contribute it to is that I had an experience with God that was good at a young age when I got saved, and and that's the truth. I wasn't wrapped up in religion. I knew that he was a relational God. I knew he was a God of miracles. I lived in the magic of it all, in the sense, well, I don't want to use the word magic, but just in the awness and the greatness of this amazing creator who created us, and I knew his love, so that's really why. And I would have to say, it brought up a lot for me, and it brought up things I thought I've already dealt with, but I guess because I haven't talked to a whole bunch of pastors' kids, or a lot of pastors' kids don't share their story, really openly and raw, real. And I'm going to be as real as raw as I can, but I'm not going to go into too many details, but it's probably why I haven't processed so much, or I just, I'm like, oh, well, this is just my life, And once you're a PK, you're always a PK, And I think everyone who grows up with a father who's in a leadership position, because how like PKs have a reputation, and it's definitely true, but it's the same reputation that all kids have, and that all kids go with. It's just that it causes extreme circumstances when everyone's watching you. And so, but anyone who's leadership, whether you're the president of the United States or like, CEO of a great company, and, you're in the limelight and people are watching you, or I was friends with a police kid, and, they have this rep. So it's really anyone, because there are expectations that are placed on children that just are unrealistic, But looking back on it all and thinking about it and meditating about it this past week about this subject matter, I realized that my experience as a pastor's kid was both amazing and the worst experience of my life. So it was both the best experiences and the worst experiences of my life. And that is the truth. And I know that's with anyone in ministry. And it's a subject that I talk about with other leaders that are in ministry. I have friends that have been in ministry, and I kind of said to them, and I don't mean to have like a negative perspective. Ministry is great, you know, if you're called to the church mountain, you are. And I am called into ministry, I feel, you know, to some degree, at least on this level that I'm doing right now. But it seems to, you know, you want a cause and you want to help people, and it seems to suck you in, and it's a big whirlwind in the middle of it, and it seems to spit you out. I mean, but there's a whole bunch of good in all of it, you know, and that's really probably with any charitable organization, or, you know, because you're dealing with people, and they, you know, it's tough dealing with people, you know. But I first want to say this. I want to give honor to my parents, because they didn't know what it was like to grow up as a PK, because they both weren't PKs, but they're really amazing people, and I love them to death, and they put a lot of good in me. You know, I am who I am because of all the good and the prayers that they had for me. And I really admire and look up to my dad even to this day. He's 84, he owns his own business, he still works. The funniest thing about my father, which I'll be doing a video about my dad, we did some filming of it when he was here in Phoenix, and it was something that my brother always wanted to do, was a little bit of a documentary on my dad. And I got really some good content that I'm going to, you know, include. I think he's going to be coming out in September, so it'll come out after that. But my father's name is Friedrich Adolf Kruger, Freddy Krueger. So that's the funniest part of the story, Reverend Freddy Krueger. And I just jokingly say they don't name kids that anymore, because this name is Friedrich Adolf, you know. He's very German, if you haven't guessed, and he was born before World War II. Okay, so but he was named after a grandfather. Adolf was that name. And there's a beautiful hummingbird. Oh my goodness, let me see if I can get this hummingbird here live. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but that is pretty amazing. All right, anyway, hopefully you guys saw that. This is our nature here in Arizona. Anyway, so he's an amazing guy. He's got a great ministry. And one of the things that's been a struggle for him, he retired a long time ago as a pastor, and he's had 2 careers in his life. He's owned his own business, and he does promotional advertising. He's very successful with it. And, he's 84, so he's kind of semi-retired, but not really. And, I think it's the key to his long life, part of it, and his attitude, and just him being a people person, and just knowing how much Jesus loves him. He spends a lot of time in the Word in the presence of God, and we just had a great time with him out here. And trust me, we have a difficult relationship. We've overcome a lot, and there's been a lot of prayer and work that's been going into it since my 20s. That I just really wanted to have a good relationship with my parents, and it was a goal, and it's had a lot of ups and downs, but it's been really great the last several years, and that's really been due to life coaching. Thank you, Dr. McRae. And, good boundaries, and I know he's not the only one that's helped many, many people with the same situation. So, but anyhow, my mom too, we've had our own difficulties, and, parents are parents, but, and parents, they're all flawed, and they, they're not perfect, but they do the best they can. So I wanted to first honor that. So like I said, my experience as a preacher's kid was definitely both the most amazing experience and the most difficult of my life. And I think, too, there was a lot to live up to in the whole scenario and situation. My family background is really kind of unusual, too. I come from a lineage of ministers, and I basically, on my dad's side, every single person has gone into ministry. And so, whether it be a missionary, music ministry, evangelism, and everyone has retired from that except for my uncle. He passed away while he was still a pastor. So what is it like growing up as a PK? Well, the number one thing that I am thankful for is that I was introduced to Jesus at a young age. I was 5 years old at a Bible day school. I realized Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and if I accept him, he would have a relationship with me, and that he did this because he wanted us to go to heaven. And I was convicted, and I prayed a prayer, although I didn't think I was serious enough, and I questioned that, which every Christian does that when they're, go through that experience when they're younger. But I had, this experience. I remember myself skipping and praising Jesus through the woods, and, just really believing in a great God, like I mentioned before. And I had a lot of really good memories as a child, in churches, but the problem was we moved a lot, and we moved a lot of different churches. So my dad was a really great preacher. He was a really good person with, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to show you guys this. Hold on. These are the little duckies right there. They're so cute. And then I don't know if you guys can see the fishies underneath here. It's just so pretty here. Anyway. Okay, and there they go. Okay. I scared them off. So, but at times he wasn't the best of leaders, and that's just because Dad struggled with a lot. And this is what I realized what happens to a lot of pastors is that they're people too, and most of them get into becoming a pastor in their 20s, and there's a lot of growth that happens in your life through family and situations, and when they go through crises spiritually, they're set into this position where, especially if you're involved in religion, there's a difference. Let me just explain the difference between religion and a relationship with Christ. In James chapter 1, it says, our only religion is this, is that we keep ourselves from being polluted from the world, and that we give, really charitably what he meant, but we give to the orphans and to the widows, or single moms nowadays, that would apply to. But basically, we don't have, religion. This is James, the brother of Jesus. We don't have these obligations. We're Holy Spirit led. We listen to him. And yes, there's certain boundaries in the Bible that God talks about. And so we definitely want to abide by that. And the reason he says all those things is because it's just like a good father that would say, please don't touch this hot stove. It will hurt you. But what people do is that a lot of people lose their religion because they think it's a bunch of rules and regulations that they have to follow, and they know that they're fallible and they can't keep up with those rules. So that's what we were caught up in. And we did grow up Baptist. I'll mention that. I'm no longer Baptist. I'm non-denominational Christian. And I would be a part of a Baptist church any day, if it aligned with the same belief systems that I'm in now. I have not left the core roots of what I believe in. But my parents, unfortunately, got caught up in, because this was the way it was back then, in the 80s, fundamentalism, legalism, religiosity, whatever you want to call it. And so when a person's asked to follow these rules and they're just a fallible person, or they're going through some spiritual struggles, they don't get the freedom to be able to get better. And so unfortunately, I personally believe that that's why my dad lost some of these churches, is because he was struggling with some things within himself and was put in this position on this pedestal. And, he has his own story. I'm just doing a generalized thing, but then there were other reasons why he left each church. But there was just drama, and I knew drama happens in churches. I also knew that the enemy really tries really hard to take leaders down. So these are the things I learned when I was younger, and I saw people hurt my dad, and it was really hard for me to see that. And I never forget going into this one meeting, and, and they were people I didn't know that were just yelling at my father, like literally yelling, And that particular church, he really didn't do anything wrong, supposedly, but I just feel like there were character flaws that he was struggling with just because of his upbringing. Dad was a son of an alcoholic, and my grandmother was a praying grandmother. That's why all our children ended up the way they were, and she was just amazing. And I don't know this grandfather. I never met him because he died of a massive heart attack. He was a wino, drank red wine. If red wine's really good for the heart, he died of a heart attack. So I don't know if that's necessarily true. Obviously, it was a stress that was going on in his heart, and why he drank. He started drinking around the Depression. He never drank when my grandmother first married him. She would never have married him. So my father became an alcoholic, and then he quit the alcoholism dramatically at his father's grave. He has an amazing testimony of how God, got a hold of his life, and it really is through his own circumstances. And then what ended up happening is that my dad just I think, went through the 12 steps to really figure out why he was an alcoholic, and it went into a food-aholism, He's very open about his issues with food, and he's recovered a lot from that. But, and of course, it affected us, seeing some of these things. I'm not going to get into details, but, he just never healed from that stuff. And if nowadays in churches we have the resources, we have Celebrate Recovery, but still, pastors aren't given the ability when they go through something to have like a little bit of, there's very few churches that will allow them to take time off to get better.